Guys, welcome back to the Scrap Life Adult channel, and this is tied in with the salvage auction analysis series, but this one has a fun twist. I was contacted through Instagram by some sort of scammer that is trying to sell me this Corvette along with another C8 that his father gave to him. And I got such a kick out of this person and going back and forth with him that I had to share this story. This is all screen recorded from earlier in the day. I was talking to this person literally at like 6 a.m. They sent me a message with this car that has Maryland tags on it that we very well may have purchased and parted out this past year. And then this video surfaced showing the accident from it. I haven't gone back and like actually looked if that's a car we parted out, but it's very well possible that we did. So this person says that they're a follower of the channel, that they know we buy salvage vehicles. They have a wrecked C6 and a wrecked C8. So I responded, said, hey, yeah, no, we're definitely interested. It is pretty normal that we get private party people that hit us up about wrecked cars, whether they don't go through insurance or they just buy the car back, they don't let it go, so on and so forth. So when I ask for details, this is the response that I get, that they don't have any details about the car, that one of them was hit by a drunk driver. Both cars miraculously only have 800 miles on them. They weren't beat on in any way, shape, or form. No rust. These sound like the best Corvettes that you could possibly ever buy. The C6 is a Targa. The C8 is a hardtop, both with black seats and white stitching. So this here, obviously, if you read that, the details are just hilarious that you can tell it's a scam right from the start. So I had to have fun with them. There was no way that I wasn't going to at least see how far they would go. A lot of these people, when you call them out on it, they just stop responding. This person, they kind of went for a little bit with it. Not that I didn't know already, but this person, when they tell me that they won't get anything more than $3,000 for both cars if they go to salvage auction, just makes me laugh. But they're a certified mechanic is the bottom of the comment there. So I don't have to worry about them letting some janky stuff leave their shop, but they have no idea the value on these cars. And then the typical scam that is run through Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, they send you a bunch of pictures from a Copart listing. Yeah, dude, you don't have any pictures of these cars that you supposedly own besides the ones that are on Copart. So me doing my research just because I thought it was funny, I went ahead and pulled up the C6 Corvette, and it is literally running at Copart today at auction. Then I started looking at the C8 pictures. These ones he must have just found off the internet. You can see definitely a Targa top and definitely a red interior car. So doesn't really fit the description that he gave me there. I'm pretty sure that these are obviously just two completely different cars. So me having fun, I look up the car, I realize that it is in Atlanta. I decided to ask them where they were located. Their response to where they're located is that both cars are in Idaho, when I know that the one is in Atlanta. And this is where things just get funny because I call them out on the scam and they act like they don't know what's going on, which is kind of hilarious because normally this is the point that they stop responding and then they show me proof. I don't know what their proof is, but I've never had one go this far. Normally when you call out the scam, they just stop responding to you. So just to see if they keep going, I decided to ask them what type of business trip a certified mechanic takes out of the country to Canada. And again, absolutely hilarious. They respond, stick with they're located in Idaho, and that the business trip was to start their father's shop in Canada. Now, I proceed to ask a couple more questions here, to which they stopped responding, which really kind of broke my heart. I was hoping that they were going to go a little bit further. But the hilarious part about this is that the C6 that they sent me that runs at salvage auction today down in Atlanta, it's actually a pretty nice car and it wasn't on our watch list. So I decided we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of research on this and see if maybe it's something that we can buy. At the time that I screen recorded this morning, the car was only at like $7,100. And that is a fine deal. I don't have any interest in a Corvette rebuild project at this point, but as light as the damage is on this car, that's definitely what this is going to do. So by the time I got here into the shop, it was already pre-bid to $13,100, which completely ruled it out for us as a parts car. But we are still going to look at it. We're going to inspect the damage here. I already did an auction history on it, and the car is completely clean. It's just being sold by an insurance company and apparently some scammer in Idaho. So going through the details on this thing, it actually has 74,000 miles. Again, the listing looks 100% legit. The auction history shows that it is being legit sold through Copart. And you can see the damage on this thing is very light. It looks like it's completely isolated to the front end here. The fender tub, maybe a little bit of suspension damage. The wheel definitely has some curbing. Obviously a front bumper. I'm going to assume it was totaled because that frame section in that front corner has a little bit of damage. Corvettes are all just one frame, so if you get frame damage, total. That's how insurance handles it. You can see at the rear of the car, there's some markings for some racetrack stuff and what appears to be the tail of the dragon. You got a C7 wicker bill style spoiler on the back, which Carrington absolutely loves. Coming around to this side here, maybe a tad bit of damage to that wheel. The suspension looks okay. Again, the front bumper is damaged. Looking at the front end here, like nothing really even looks shifted around. It all looks like it's cosmetic damage and then maybe a tad bit of suspension damage. Going inside, you can see a little bit of modification, MGW shifter on it. Looks like a pretty darn clean car for 75,000 miles. The carbon center console looks like it's in pretty good shape. Even the seat looks like it's in pretty good shape. Now, this is where my concerns arise. When you get to the gauge cluster view, you can see the oil pressure looks good, but look at the temperature reading on the cluster. It is up right about 240 degrees. And what that tells me is that this thing has some sort of radiator damage. It probably is the actual radiator itself and it doesn't have any coolant in it. They had this thing running long enough for it to heat up potentially to 240 degrees. From the engine bay picture, you can't see anything from the top side. The only other scenario that I can spin on this is that it has some sort of wiring damage and the fan is not coming on, which would probably be the better scenario because that would mean that there is actual fluid in the system, which is a whole lot better than just air in those cylinder heads where the temperature sensor is from the factory. So this thing is bid too high for me to be involved in anyway, but that was my primary concern, is that this thing got heated up when they were running it at Copart, and you could potentially have a issue down the line that was caused by that. So this thing is running at auction. We're gonna watch it anyway and see. We're not gonna be bidding on it, but let's see what this thing sells for.
The seller has released the minimum bid.
All right, let's see what this thing sells for. It is a pure sale, so it is selling for $13,100. That is it right there. I do think that somebody just got themselves a pretty good rebuild project. Again, that car is an LS3 with a manual transmission behind it with what seems to be minimal damage. My only concern being what is the cause of that car heating up, whether it's wiring with a fan issue or if the radiator is busted and it had no fluid in it, then there might be a bigger issue. But you figure you can probably rebuild that car, assuming the motor is good. You can rebuild that car after auction fees, after shipping, for you're less than $20,000 into that car. That's probably a $25,000+ car all day long if it's clean title. So I don't think that somebody got themselves a bad deal there. The only thing that I can hope is that they're going to hit us up for some of the parts, and that hopefully this video finds its way to them so that they know that an Instagram scammer was trying to use the car that they now own for a scam. I'm only curious how many more people they tried to run that thing on. So hopefully this was a funny video for you guys. I got a huge kick out of it. I had to share the story, and I hope that you enjoyed it just as much as I did this morning when I was messing with whoever that was. Plenty of fun stuff coming up on the Scrap Life Dalt channel here. We're heating things up with a lot of rebuild projects over the winter here that are going to be featured on this channel and the main Scrap Life Garage channel. So make sure that you are subscribed and stay tuned for whatever project we're working on next. See you.